Hi everybody, it's Dynamo22, and I just got moved into college, which is super cool because now I actually have a good opportunity to record battles and stuff. Unfortunately, I mean, that means I have to do more work, which means I have less time to actually have battles and then do stuff. But when I do have them, there will be opportunities to upload. So hopefully you'll see more uploads in the future. I had a bunch of 5th gen battles, and some of them were pretty cool, but that's in the past because now 6th gen is out, and who even uploads 5th gen anymore? Not me. So I've really wanted to be getting a 6th gen battle. I've just been breeding and breeding and breeding, and then I kind of stopped because I got bored. But anyways, unlike both 4th gen and 5th gen, where I planned out a team and then bred that team, in 6th gen, I've just been seeing random things and like, you know what, that's cool, I want one, and I breed that. And I got to the point where I had more than 6 things bred, so I'm like, I should start battling. But the problem is they're just 6 random things, and so they don't really go together. And a lot of them are NU, and there's no tiers yet to really use them in. So you'll notice a complete lack of team structure on my side. I've got Ariados with Sticky Reb because Ariados is one of my favorite Pokemon, and it got a brand new, like, almost exclusive to it move. Obviously, Galvantula gets it, and everyone uses that, but I'm very excited to try that out. So I've got that, and then I have Ditto, who copies all the speed drops if I put up Sticky Web, and then I've got Fortress, who has Gyro Ball, so that, I mean, is just, again, not a team of any means. I also don't have any special wall, if you haven't noticed. And I don't even have any really special attackers either, other than you'll see, because I noticed I had no special attackers, I decided to breed a Mega Charizard Y because it looks dope, even though I have X. I've got friends in the right places to get the Y stone. And my third problem is I only have one pair of leftovers, and if you know me, my favorite thing to put on people, random people even, is leftovers. Uh, so what we have is Ariados can have Black Sledge. Ditto obviously has a Choice Scarf. Skarmory and Fortress is where the problem came in because they both need it. Uh, so I gave it to Fortress, and then I slapped a Rocky Helmet on Skarmory, so it's at least not a useless item. And then Azumarill, honestly, I'd also rather have leftovers on, but we can just slap a Citrus Berry on there for belly drumming stuff. And then Mega Charizard Y obviously has to have the Charizard Y, so that's our team. I guess we should take a quick look at his team. When I took the battle, I didn't even really look at his team that well, which was a mistake, but it was really late at night and I was tired. But he has as far as threats are concerned, he's got Aegislash, which I'm concerned about just from watching other people's videos. I know it's very dangerous if you're not prepared, and I am very clearly not prepared for anything, really. And Mega Lucario is what I'm assuming his Mega is, based on the fact that nothing else can be, and Mega Lucario is really popular. And so that thing's a giant threat. And then Protean Greninja, normally I would have Lapras, that's what I need to breed. And that's a pretty good stop to basically any water type, even though Greninja doesn't stay a water type. But unfortunately, I've got no special walls, so that's a really big threat. Those are what's in my mind as the battle starts. And we're just going to get into it here. And I noticed he didn't really have any rapid spinners, so I'm just going to lead off with Ariados and try and get as many hazards up as I can. And then he leads with Azumarill, which I didn't really pay attention to the fact that he had an Azumarill. But my first thought is Azumarill is a threat, kill it. So instead of putting up a hazard here, I surprisingly live a life of Waterfall. I honestly thought Ariados was going to die because I'm max HP, max attack, instead of defense, which I considered. And then the Poison Jab unfortunately doesn't kill him, which is, I have Poison Jab over X's, or even Ariados gets Mega Horn now, which is cool. But because it hits fairies super effective, and that's always, anything Ariados can do that's actually useful is something you should always invest in. But the Sucker Punch actually leaves him with 1 HP, which actually is probably good thinking back about it, because then he dies to Life Orb, and I basically traded Ariados for Azumarill, which is a awesome trade in my mind. And if I had killed it, then I would have had a low health Ariados, and it would have been really easy to set up on with a lot of his things. So I decided to go into Charizard, because we both have a free switch, and we both kind of have the same thought. We go into our Mega as our most threatening Pokemon. But luckily, my Mega has a type advantage on his. So I just decided to go for a drop boosted Flamethrower because generally, I mean, that's Charizard's best attack, and it would obviously be the best against Lucario. It's very hard to switch into one of those, so I just want to see what his response was to a Flamethrower, and it turns out to be the Snorlax, which, if that's Thick Fat, holy crap, because that still does a large chunk, and so if he, like, resists that with the Thick Fat, then, honestly, I didn't think it would do that much, but then it did, so Charizard Y is super much powerful. I go into Skarmory here because I figure I can take anything the Snorlax has, even though if there's a Fire Punch, it will be in the sun. And besides, he also goes for physical attacks, which is cool, because I do have the Rocky Helmet, like I said. So I decided to just put up some spikes, because Skarmory's just in here, and I've got nothing better to do. And he goes for the Yawn, which tells me he doesn't have Fire Punch, so I'm just going to go into Fortress now. And he body slams me. I'm like, well, okay, I resist it, and if I get paralyzed, I mean, that won't be too big of a deal, right? Because, I mean, it powers up Gyro Ball, and it means he can't yawn me. So I thought, you know, I always try and minimize how much luck comes into play, because it always, I'm on the wrong end of it a lot, which I know everyone will tell you they're on the wrong end of it a lot, but I think that's fair to say that I'm on the wrong end of it a lot. So I decided to just put up some Stealth Rocks here, because you know, it's never a bad idea to put up Stealth Rocks, really. And I didn't really have anything else I could do to the thing there. And I did kind of expect the switch to Lucario, and because a lot of people, just from my experience from playing with Fortress in 5th Gen on simulators, because actually all 6 of these Pokemon are Pokemon I did not have in any previous gens. So I know he's going to go Mega here and set up a Swords Dance on me. And I've got a surprise for him. I always run Earthquake on Fortress. It just seems like a good move to have on Fortress, and especially, almost specifically for Lucario. So I can 2-KO him, and then I can live with the Sturdy, and that should be the end of his giant threat. But as you would expect from the fact that I got paralyzed, it's going to come in to bite me. I only had to go through 3 turns of not getting paralyzed, and I couldn't quite make it, which is really unfortunate. I knew I just had to get 2 Earthquakes off, and I could be done with this Lucario before it killed everything I own. But, nope, that doesn't happen. And then he goes for a Swords Dance in my face after seeing the Earthquake. I don't know if he thought I was going to switch or what. But I get paralyzed again, which I knew was going to happen. I went for the Swords Dance. I was like, there's no way that he's not going to get away with that for free, just because that's, I mean, if he goes for that move, he should have to pay for it, but he doesn't. So I'm like, great, now there's a freaking +4 Mega Lucario, and my first battle might end very poorly, but yeah, this is literally the first battle I've ever had in 6th Gen. I did not go through battles to try and get a better battle. Then I realized I got the perfect thing to stop every single setup sweeper in the game. I've got a freaking Ditto, and it turns out I make an overprediction here at the worst possible time. This is like, I know I shouldn't be giving tips for Pokemon because I'm not that good, but this is Dynamo22's tip for Pokemon. You don't overpredict when they've got a +4 Mega Lucario on the field. But I figured the Extreme Speed would be way too obvious, and he'd go to his Aegislash, and I was afraid that was getting it a free turn, because obviously I'm Choice Scarfed. I figured he would be afraid of that, because all Dittos are, and then he'd go into Aegislash and get free setup with Aegislash. But that's not what happens at all. So that was a really poor play on my part. I figured I was going to be swept, but Azumarill lives the +4 Extreme Speed with 11 HP, which is super boss, by the way, for Azumarill. It really saved me from being destroyed. So we still have a battle going on. He goes into Aegislash, and I would predict the King Shield and or Swords Dance. And I predict wrong, because he goes for an attack. But it's cool, because I go to Skarmory. Skarmory doesn't resist Shadow Claw anymore, but it practically does, just because it has so much defense. And the Rocky Helmet is actually, once again, doing things that are useful. So, you know, that's always a favorite of mine. So he's going to switch out here, and I think I go for Roar, expecting him to maybe set up a Swords Dance. And he goes into Greninja, because that's his only real special attacker, and that's what you need to get through Skarmory. So I brought 2 physical walls, and he brought almost an entirely physical attacking team, which is, you know, to my benefit. And he also didn't bring any Stealth Rocks of any sort, or any Rapid Spinner of any sort. So I've still got the I've got the advantage as far as hazards go. And like I said, I roar on that turn. It brings him out of Greninja and into Snorlax, which is cool because I've got at least one layer of spikes up and the Stealth Rocks, and all of his Pokemon on the ground too. So this is, working great for me. I know he's gonna yawn. There's not really much else he can do there. I decided to Roost to get my Sturdy back because I obviously don't have leftovers, so I can't get it back that way. And he yawns me, and I decided I really didn't want to mess around with switching into things and getting body slammed and paralyzed now that Fortress is gone. I can't really afford to do that. So I decided to stay in and put up my second layer of spikes, and then just fall asleep, and then try and wake up as he switches out. He switched out into Chansey, which I don't really understand unless he predicted me to switch to something else, maybe, because he thought maybe I wouldn't stay in if I was asleep. But sleep turns no longer reset in 6th gen, so I decided, if I can burn a turn here or there. Also, timeout from my story, Seismic Toss looks so boss. I've never seen it before that Chansey used it. I'm so glad they did that to Seismic Toss. This is actually a bad thing here. I did not expect myself to wake up this early, so I just kind of clicked Roar randomly because I thought he might Wish, because I forgot that everything has to be legit in 6th gen, pretty much, so there's no way to get a Wish Chansey, pretty much. Actually, there's literally zero way to get a Wish Chansey unless you have a Pokebank from Japan. And I roar him into the one thing Skarmory can't handle, and actually nothing on my team can handle it. But surprisingly, I managed to live the Hydro Pump with 4 HP. That just blew me away. Speaking of blowing away, I'm going to blow him away with a Brave Bird, but it's going to be the second double down in the game because of the recoil. I was hoping he would go for an attack that wasn't a water attack, and then I could Aqua Jet him with the Zoomeril if he didn't resist Aqua Jet anymore. That's basically, because I have nothing for Greninja. There's literally nothing I own that can handle a Greninja. But at this point, he's got 2 special walls left and an Aegislash, and the Aegislash is at about half health, and I've got a bunch of spikes up. So I figured a Zoomeril can threaten all of those really well. And he, I guess, expects me to go into the Mega Charizard Y again, because that's what I went on my last double down. And here comes the Aegislash now. It's the only thing that can really handle Zoomeril that well. And he has to switch into the spikes, and the Stealth Rocks, which aren't that very effective. And he has to take a Waterfall, which does a bunch, and it was a 2-hit KO like I hoped, but he's got leftovers, which I forgot about, so he's getting his health back. And I thought he might not King Shield here. I thought he would predict me to, because I switched on what I thought was his King Shield last time. And I also thought even at -1 attack, I could still kill him. But I'm wrong, it's a -2 attack, so that was just a foolish play. I completely mispredicted all of the King Shields on this thing. I really thought I could still kill it from here, and it turns out I can't. He goes for a Toxic here, which is interesting, but I guess, it makes kind of sense with King Shield. So I know at this point that this is a losing battle, and I'm also like 90% sure he's going to go for the King Shield here now that I'm poisoned. It's just way too obvious. So I only have 2 Pokemon left, and it's Azumarill and the Mega Charizard Y. I know Mega Charizard Y is really my only dangerous Pokemon, so I've been kind of saving that to it. It's the same way I play Typhlosion, if you haven't noticed, with my fire types. I keep my strong fire type Sweeper Cillian, and I just try and late game cleanup with them. So I get the free switch there, and also look at how cool Mega Charizard is when he uses Flamethrower. I cannot emphasize that enough. But I do manage to kill the Aegislash, because at that point, if he switched out, he'd be asking for more spikes damage, and he really can't handle that much at the amount of HP he's at, so I knew he was going to just let himself die there. And he also doesn't really have anything that can switch into a Flamethrower, because, again, this does so much to Snorlax, and, he already used his Lumberry, and so Charizard Y getting through what I'm presuming is a thick, fat Snorlax, unless it's not, which would be, make more sense from how much damage that was doing standpoint, but less sense from why you would bring like an immunity Snorlax. But immunity is a cool ability for a wall. But anyway, it goes into Chansey. I'm like, awesome, I had this pretty much down because I had all of his walls lowered and the spikes and all this. But I'm asleep, and he has Soft Boiled, which I should have known was going to happen. There's 0% chance he didn't have Soft Boiled. Uh, so how this is working out is Charizard and Azumarill versus Chansey. I'm definitely feeling like Azumarill is the better choice here because Charizard is not going to be able to get through such a special wall very well. But problem is, one, the drought weakens Azumarill, and two, I don't have enough HP to live a Seismic Toss. So what I'm doing here is I stalled all the drought turns already, and then I waited for a turn where he would use Soft Boiled, and now I can switch into Azumarill. Because I've got less than 50 HP there, so if I switch into a Seismic Toss, I'd be dead. So this is my best chance to use Azumarill. I got the free switch, and there's no sun up. And by switching out, it lets me switch Charizard back in and get the sun back up for when I start battling the Chansey, because really I'm kind of hoping to get a burn with Flamethrower because it's his last Pokemon, so he can't use his ability to get rid of it. And that Waterfall does like nothing, which made me almost cry, considering I've got huge power and Chansey has 5 defense. Base 5 defense. I mean, it does a pretty good chunk, but I mean, if he had Soft Boiled right there, I felt like he could have won the game. I didn't understand the Seismic Toss there because I didn't die from poison anyway. But the first time I flinched him, which was super cool. But now he's at low enough HP that I get the drop back because he didn't Soft Boiled, and I can just go in, finish him off with Flamethrower. Even if Chansey somehow lived, I had 53 HP, as you saw there, so he can't kill me with Seismic Toss. I feel like he probably could have outstalled me if he had Soft Boiled up before, but because if he only had Seismic Toss to hit Charizard, I think I would have won. But he still had 2 moves he hadn't shown me, and I find it really hard to believe that neither of them was a status move, considering it's a Chansey. He told me after the game he was surprised I didn't go for a superpower with Azumarill, because I don't have it is why I didn't. But I don't know if that's why he thought he should just kill me right then and there. But again, the Toxic was going to kill me anyways. I don't understand why he went for Seismic Toss, but it pretty much allowed me to win the game, so that's cool. I'm 1-0 in 6th gen. I've got a bunch more stuff bred, but again, a lot of it needs leftovers, and a lot of it are water types, honestly, because once you get 5 IVs on something, you can give those 5 IVs to anything else in that same egg group. So I'm kind of just slowly expanding my pool of Pokemon. But yeah, other than the 6 you see, I've got a Clamperl that I just bred. I've got a Walrein that I just bred. And I've got a Pidgeot that I bred because I don't know how I got this far in life without having a fully bred Pidgeot. But Pidgeot is one of, if not my favorite Pokemon in the game, aside from Quilava. So that's today's game. There's a weird noise starting to come from something, so I'm just going to cut this off before my computer explodes or something. And I hope you have a good day, and I hope you maybe look forward to more 6th gen battles from me in the future. This is Dynamo22, and goodbye.